We often think of an election as just a contest, right? A race between different personalities. But that's a really limited way to see it. An election is actually a system. It's a piece of engineering. And if we can understand its design, its mechanics, its stress points, and where its power comes from, we can start to understand the nature of governance itself. So today, we're not here to predict the future. We're here to decode the present. We're going to take a very close look at the political landscape of one single constituency in Nagaland, Tyui.
And our work begins right here, in Nagaland. This is a land whose story you just can't separate it from its hills, its rivers, and of course, its people. This is a place where political engagement isn't some kind of seasonal sport. No, it's woven right into the fabric of the community. And the numbers that come from this soil, they tell us that the people here speak with a clear, powerful, collective voice. This is the opposite of apathy. It's a deep, deep investment in their own governance, a real demand to be counted.
So our journey today is going to be a bit like a forensic diagnosis. First, we have to understand the land and its voice. Then, we'll dive into the numbers, not as dry statistics, but as the vital signs of the political body. From there, we'll dissect the anatomy of a major vote swing to really get to the root causes. We'll audit the inherent assets of the soil, the strengths and weaknesses that are already there on the ground. And from that diagnosis, we'll lay out a four-faced blueprint, a prescription, if you will, for a more people-centric system of governance. And finally, we'll look at how a mandate can actually turn into meaningful progress.
Okay, let's focus our lens. We're zooming in on the Tyui constituency, which is in the Woka district. You see, every community has its own political rhythm, a unique pulse that's been shaped by its history, its economy, and the hopes of its people. So to really understand the data that comes out of Tyui, we first have to understand the context it comes from. This is step one. It's absolutely essential.
All right, now let's turn to the data, but let's agree not to treat these as just cold, abstract figures. Think of them as the consolidated voice of the people. Every single percentage point represents thousands of individual choices, thousands of families, thousands of hopes. These numbers, they tell a story of trust, of loyalty, and really of the political health of this constituency.
Now, look closely at this number, 95.28%. That is an absolutely extraordinary figure. I mean, in so many parts of the world, and even right here in our own country, where the national average is around 67%, this level of participation is almost unheard of. This isn't just a high turnout, it's practically a total consensus on the importance of the democratic process. This figure isn't just a number, it's a roar. It's a clear, powerful mandate from the people, one that's impossible and frankly irresponsible to ignore.
Okay, so let's break down the 2023 outcome. We've got an electorate of just over 25,000 people, and as we saw, almost every single one of them voted. The ruling BJP and NDBP alliance, they secured nearly 68% of that vote, a solid two-thirds majority. The winning margin was decisive, 36 points. But the most interesting detail on this slide, the one that tells the deepest story, is right here. The Naga People's Front, the NPF, at 0%. Not a small number, not a single digit, zero. This is the central clue. It's the anomaly we have to investigate to understand the whole system. And this chart just visualizes that stark reality. On one side, you have this commanding victory for the incumbent, Yanthum Gopatan of the BJP. A huge, solid block of support. And on the other side, a complete absence. A void where a political force used to exist. So the critical question isn't just who won. It's why did a historically relevant party completely vanish from the contest? This absence, this zero, it actually speaks with more volume than any other number on the board.
When over 95% of people show up to vote, it signals a really deep belief in the democratic process. And that belief, it comes with a profound responsibility, for leaders of course, but also for the people. Our constitutional values are built on this very idea, that informed public speech, rooted in the dignity of every single individual, is the very foundation that keeps a democracy healthy, accountable, and alive.
So how did we get to that zero? A result like this, it just doesn't happen overnight. It's the endpoint of a long process. To understand it, we need to basically reverse engineer the outcome. We have to look back in time, move from the what of the 2023 data to the why behind these really dramatic shifts in voter loyalty.
History gives us the pattern. If we look at the NPF's journey, we see they had a modest vote share back in 2008, and then this massive surge to 57% in 2013, making them the dominant force. But then it just falls away, and by 2023, it's gone. At the same time, the BJP's vote share shows this steady, consolidating climb. That one single peak for the NPF in 2013, it isn't just a data point. It's the crucial anomaly that explains everything.
And this slide right here tells you exactly why. That surge in 2013 wasn't just for a party, it was for a candidate. When Yamtyngo Patton won that election for the NPF, he consolidated the vote around himself. And when he switched to the BJP by 2018, the entire vote base just moved with him. Now, this isn't just about the choice of one individual. What it reveals is a political system where loyalty is often tied more to a strong local leader than to a party ideology or a flag. And that has some really deep implications. It means political capital is personal, not institutional. It affects policy continuity. And it shapes how a voter relates not to a party's manifesto, but to a leader's personal ability to deliver.
So, given this political reality, what assets are even left on the ground? For any political contender who's hoping to connect with the people, victory isn't just about running a clever campaign. It's about understanding what you have to work with, the inherent strengths and weaknesses that are there in the political soil of the constituency. Let's do an honest audit.
On one hand, there are some durable strengths. A historic presence in the district, that means there are roots, a foundation you can build on. There's definitely some residual loyalty from that 2013 surge, memories and relationships that still exist. The appeal to a broader Naga identity is a powerful emotional asset that can go beyond local politics. And a local cadre network, even if it's dormant, can always be reawakened. But the weaknesses are systemic. The loss of that key incumbent leader created a vacuum. The vote base is now fragmented. There are fewer financial resources compared to the ruling alliance, and let's be honest, a weak digital presence in an increasingly connected world. Any new strategy has to use that appeal to identity in the local network to overcome the fragmentation and the resource gap.
So now we move from diagnosis to prescription, from analysis to architecture. How does a political entity rebuild its connection with the people in a way that is authentic, in a way that is sustainable? Well, it requires a comprehensive blueprint, a doctrine that has 4 distinct but integrated phases.
We call this the Chaturmukha doctrine. Chaturmukha just means four-faced. It's a holistic approach. It recognizes that a political movement isn't just one thing, but 4 interconnected dimensions: the electoral strategy, the organizational structure, the public narrative, and the resource base. For the whole system to be strong, all 4 of these phases have to be aligned and working together in harmony.
So, the first phase is the electoral. This is the science of coalition building. It means uniting different tribal groups, different villages, community interests, all under a single, powerful platform. A platform that champions local representation with a simple, resonant promise that the voice heard in the corridors of power will be Tyui's own voice.
The second phase is organizational. You see, a party is like a tree. It's nothing without its roots. This means strengthening the party units in every single village, every ward. And even more importantly, it's about finding and empowering new, credible leaders, people who are socially rooted, who command respect not because of a title, but because of their service to the community.
The third phase is the narrative. This is the story you tell, the purpose you represent. It's about becoming the party of trust. And this trust, it's not built with empty slogans. It's earned by connecting with the people's heritage, and critically, by directly and honestly addressing their most pressing grievances: the lack of good jobs for the youth, the state of the roads, the need for reliable development. And the final phase is the resource. Now, this is not just about money. It's about smart, sustainable mobilization. Tapping into local support for small donations, yes, but more powerfully, it's about deploying your greatest intangible assets: the passion and energy of your volunteers and the immense goodwill of the community. These are the resources that money just cannot buy. A blueprint is only a drawing, right? It's only useful if it can actually be built. So let's move from the strategic framework to a concrete, actionable plan. How do you take this 4-phase doctrine and make it a reality on the ground, day by day? But before we lay out the timeline, there's a crucial point of principle we have to establish. A data-driven approach means you're handling information about people. This must always be done with the utmost respect. Privacy is a matter of dignity. Under India's own digital personal data protection framework, any information used to understand people's needs must be based on clear consent and used only for a clear purpose. Building trust starts with this fundamental respect. Okay, so this is what the work looks like in practice, a 90-day win-back strategy. It's broken down into 3 distinct phases. Phase 1, the first 30 days, that's all for deep planning and building your alliances. That's the foundation. Phase 2 is about mobilization, activating the cadre, launching digital outreach to carry your narrative. And the final, critical 30 days are dedicated to intensive door-to-door canvassing and making sure that that massive voter turnout is harnessed effectively. And this brings us to the final and most important question. All of this, the data, the strategy, the campaign, the election itself, it's all for nothing if it doesn't lead to better governance. So what does that actually look like for the people of Tyui? Well, it looks like a paved road that doesn't wash away in the monsoon. It looks like a real job for a young person with a degree. It feels like a government that actually listens, that responds, and that respects the dignity of its people every single day, not just during an election cycle.
If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-420-41602. Purpose Beyond Politics.